Hey guys, how you doing? Just finished another track for the day. Thought I'd take you on a quick walk through this session here. I don't write a ton of rock tracks, but this one came out sounding pretty cool. So basically where it all started was this one guitar riff. And I started to layer that one up. It's using a couple of patches from Guitar Rig. The next thing I wanted to do was dial in like the meanest drum beat possible. I was hearing something really, really dry and thick for this. Ended up using my Circles Dead 1975 drums. Which I just purchased last week and I'm just loving it. You put those samples through a bit of Vulf and it just ends up sounding insane. Once I added drums in the mix, things started to really kick off. There's a bit of snare reinforcement in my final mix too. This is using a Travis Barker snare sample. The next challenge for me was coming up with some kind of riff that was gonna like slink around this loop. So I loaded up a few more of my favorite Guitar Rig presets. Those are being panned left and right, and getting that perfect bass sound was a little bit challenging. So I threw one bass track through a lot of processing, going through some saturation, some compression, using the UAD Oxford inflator, using a noise gate to get rid of all that crazy noise in between notes. Then I also threw that clean DI signal just through a bit of compression, and it's also in the mix. Now, after adding those two guitar performances that I just showed you through the Neutron 3, giving it a little bit of excitement, the bass and the guitar riff together sound pretty good. With the drums and the original guitar riffs in the mix, I think also one thing that really helped these guitars sound super tight and glued together was using a noise gate. All these little spaces in between notes. Some of these patches from Guitar Rig can get pretty noisy, and if you add up the noise between all the spaces of all these little notes here, you can get this kind of like low level noise building up in your track, which can be really, really annoying. So using a noise gate to shut everything down in between all these transients here really helped these guitars sound like super tight. Same thing for the bass, actually. Now from here, I really needed some serious percussive reinforcement. So I added this really interesting percussion loop from Splice. Throwing some claps. Some tambourine. At the end of every 8 bars in the chorus, we have this hilarious like disco clap sample, which doesn't sound very organic, but I thought for some reason it suited the song well. I also threw some organs in the mix for these choruses. And then finally, there's some very subtle vocal shots in the mix. I wanted to keep the production quite simple, so I didn't go too crazy with these. Usually I would put these kinds of things like pretty high up in the mix if I was doing like lo-fi or like maybe a pop track. But these are just very subtle embellishments in the chorus. So because this track has such a kind of like a looped vibe to it, it was really important for me to dial in the transitions between parts. So there's a lot of little subtle things in the mix, like these reversals here. And if you listen to them in the context of the whole mix, it adds a ton of flavor. Other than that, it was really important for me to get away from too much looping in the drums and the guitar riff. So that's why we have the drums doing these tasty little fills. And that happens throughout the whole track. Same with this guitar riff. For example, at the end of the phrase here, we stray from the normal riff and we do this little ascending riff. There's also a bit of a B section here before we hit the second chorus. And then, of course, we got the icing on the cake, which is these really light cymbal swells, taking us into the final chorus and halfway through. We're doubling this chorus, and so that's happening again halfway through. So I would say definitely don't be afraid to keep things super simple, and don't worry about sticking to a loop, but I would always encourage you to be mindful of those, making those transitions interesting. Find some places in the mix where you can inject some creativity, do things that are unexpected. That's the kind of things that I like to do in a mix, especially when I'm relying on kind of like a looped vibe throughout the whole track. So I hope you enjoyed that. This one is going to get pitched for a taxi brief. And if it doesn't get forwarded, it's all good. It's going to go up on the stock libraries. Thanks as always for watching, guys. Throw your comments below. Let me know what you thought of the track. Let me know what kind of music you guys are interested in writing right now. It's always great to hear from you all. In the meantime, I will see you in the next video. Take care.